Greetings and welcome to Politically Unstable with Charles Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor. I'm your host, Andy Parks, and I'd like to remind you that you qualify for a 50% discount on an annual digital subscription to the Washington Times, and all you have to do is go to washingtontimes.com/Andy. That's washingtontimes.com/ANDY. All right, let's bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. Washington Times opinion editor Charles Hurt. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Andy. How you doing, buddy?
Doing just fine. Fall of Kabul is crowning achievement of Biden's political career. Wow. You and I have talked about Biden's failures in the past. He hasn't gotten anything right in 50 years, so why would we expect anything different now?
Yeah, I think we've sort of joked about the fact that Joe Biden actually does provide real value in that, unlike a broken clock that's right twice a day, Joe Biden is 100% always wrong. He's always pointed in the wrong direction. So if you want to know what the right direction is, you can just sort of ask him a question. Whatever he tells you, you do the exact opposite, and you're golden. Unfortunately, in this particular case, we're talking it's a matter of life and death, not just for the poor Afghanis who are clinging to the landing gear of U.S. aircraft that Joe Biden has ordered to evacuate immediately and falling to their deaths. It's not just them. Of course, it's 20 years of our finest soldiers dying for this cause, 20 years of our taxpayers forking over trillions of dollars to pay for these things that Joe Biden and all of his expert colleagues in Washington thought up over the past 20 years. Those are the people who are paying the prices here. And, nothing ever happens. Joe Biden just keeps getting kicked upstairs, getting promoted until if there was any room to promote Joe Biden further in Washington at this point, this would get him to the next level. That's how broken Washington.
All right, let's talk about the long-term effects from this. What do you see happening down the road? I mean, obviously our image has changed dramatically around the world.
Well, stop and think about it for a minute. Think about what a scandal it was when Donald Trump got elected, came into office, and promised to rearrange our foreign policy around a theory of America first. He was called a racist, a radical, all these crazy things, because he believed in America first, which is like, it's almost mind-bending. I'm sorry, what else would your foreign policy be but that? And of course, Afghanistan's the policy for the past 20 years in Afghanistan has been, I don't know what it is, but it's not America first. It's never been America first. It's been about sort of nation building and things like that. The 4 years of Donald Trump's foreign policy where he pressed the America First agenda has been completely annihilated. And you're right, America, obviously China and Russia and, the entire world is laughing at us right now and mocking us. And even the Taliban is laughing at us right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're laughing at our idea of freedom of speech by pointing to Facebook, which runs around censoring everybody about everything these days, which is beyond hysterical. Literally, Facebook is worse than the Taliban. The damage is irreparable, and and Republicans are making this huge mistake right now by talking about how Joe Biden just did a bad job of withdrawing. And it's like, well, yeah, he did do that, but that's not the problem here. The problem is still 20 years of mismanagement, of lies, of despicable dishonesty and lack of vision. That's the problem here. Yeah, the pullout is horrible, but this is not just a bad weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
This is 20 years of hell, this is 50 years of massive foreign policy mismanagement by Joe Biden, who has been the reigning expert on foreign policy in the United States for 50 years. That's who he is. This is the culmination of everything that Joe Biden has been about for the past 50 years, the entire time he's been in office. And also, don't forget this, Andy. Remember how everybody wanted to beat up on George W. Bush and Dick Cheney for being warmongers and for starting all these wars. And I get it, but you have to give them credit because they were actually dumb enough to actually believe that this might turn into a success. It was never going to turn into a success,
No.
but at least they believed in it. Bozos like Joe Biden, they didn't believe in anything. They changed their opinions. Remember, Joe Biden, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, all of them voted for the war in Iraq, for example, and then immediately changed their opinions as soon as it became politically expedient to say, oh, no, we didn't. LOL, just kidding, didn't really mean that. Of course, this is after thousands of our servicemen have given their lives for the vision that these people held. That's what you get with these people. And until somebody comes forward, like a Donald Trump, who is serious about putting America first, putting America's interests first, and using force, using lethal force when we need it, until that happens, we're going to be a declining laughingstock on the global stage.
Yep. I got to look back a year ago. In fact, it was September 2020. 500 military and national security types threw their support behind Joe Biden. Where are they today? You can't find one of them. I mean, it's like crickets.
Although it is sort of interesting how the media right now, they're starting to turn on him. Of course, a big reason for that is that the media feeds on this entire apparatus, this military industrial complex apparatus that infects the State Department and infects the entire federal government, where, a big reason that Washington is forever boomtown, the reason that Washington is always flush with money, no matter, it's a recession-proof town, is because of the monstrous amounts of money that they collect from hardworking Americans or rack up in unpayable debts to those very same people for major operations. And there's nothing bigger than the trillions that these people have spent on these foreign wars that accomplish nothing. And remember, what was the only time during the entire Trump administration where Trump got sort of mild plaudit from the Washington establishment? It was when he got pissed off and sent some Patriot missiles into Syria. I don't think it was necessary, but whatever. That was the decision he made. He got elected. I didn't. And it was the only time that the political establishment in Washington actually gave him credit for anything and sort of mildly applauded him. And I just think that's so interesting. This is what these people are all about right here.
The column is Fall of Kabul is Crowning Achievement of Biden's Political Career. You'll want to read it, ladies and gentlemen, in the Washington Times. And before I let you run, Big Tech hasn't shut you down yet. I know they go after Rand Paul and others, but you're still in the clear?
It's amazing. I try to remind people of it every chance I get. In January 2020, our Bill Gertz, citing intelligence sources, fingered the Wuhan lab as a potential source of this virus. Okay? This is a year and a half ago, very, very early on. And Facebook and their so-called fact checkers at USA Today and Washington Post and all these other liars censored our reporting and censored our story. They vanished that story from the internet. They did everything they could to whitewash that story. Fast forward a year and a half, and the growing consensus now is that the Wuhan lab was the source of this virus. And think of how many lives we might have saved if at that time we had honestly pursued that issue and gone after that issue. We might have actually found evidence in that Wuhan lab that might have saved lives. And my question is, how many people around the globe were murdered by Facebook and these other social media, quote unquote, censors like USA Today and Washington Post, which were lying about everything? How many people died because those people censored our reporting and all the other reporting on this issue at that time that would have revealed early on what the potential source of this virus was? I think the amount of research we could have done on whatever was going on in that lab. How many people were murdered? How many people died because of those decisions that Facebook and these other places made?
The words of Charles Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor. Charlie, always good to talk to you. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for listening to Politically Unstable with Charlie Hurt. Remember, you can read all of Charlie's columns at WashingtonTimes.com. I'm Andy Parks. Have a great day.